Hello, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
We have a stacked episode this week with the mask slipping with Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard. We have acquisition news from Tencent. We have new game announcements. We have too much to mention, really. It is a stacked episode. And welcome to News Trash. Right, so how are you?
I'm good. I'm rested, which is a rarity for me.
Well, I think we've got to add context to that. See, Rob does night shifts, 13-hour night shifts, so when he's referencing the fact that he gets sleep, it's that. So it kind of doesn't make sense if you don't give the context, and you have never given the context, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I just have to clarify, right? Because I've been, over the last couple of months, I've been doing 52-hour weeks. But on top of that, the weather has also been getting hotter, and I sleep during the day, which is not a good combination when you're working night shifts.
No.
and you have a south-facing bedroom.
Right, I don't know how we're going to segue out of this, but, I'm not going to try.
It's very uncomfortable, like several of the news stories we have today.
Oh, there we go. That's about as good as we're going to get. But anyhow, a French union has filed a collective lawsuit against Ubisoft. Solidaires Informatique alleges publisher tolerated sexual harassment, HR employees covered for abusers. Now, I don't want to go too deep into this, because it's one of these things with abusive behaviour patterns and management hiding it, which is all quite insidious. But a quote has come out from this report. It says, it believes the publisher is guilty of putting in place, maintaining and strengthening a system where sexual harassment is tolerated because it is more profitable for the company to keep harassers in place than to protect its employees. Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. I will no longer call them Ubisoft. They are now Ubisoft. We laugh. It is a major problem within the industry. It didn't one of the heads of Ubisoft have to do get fired last year about this?
Yeah, one of the people who was very close. Solidaires Informatique names Chief Creative Officer Serge Hascoe, Head of HR Cécile Cornet, Editorial Department member Tommy Francois, and CEO Yves Guillemot.
Yves Guillemot.
Yves Guillemot as targets of the suit, as well as Hascoet's assistant and multiple other members of the HR team. So this is high up. Yeah,
that's wow. I don't know what to say. This is by God.
Changed really, haven't they? I mean, when they began, they were a very small, humble company that just broke big and had some very big success stories, and became much bigger through success. And they kind of become ubiquitous in the sense of the games all had the same formula, but they've earned their success climbing up. But once they've reached the top, that kind of was thrown to the wayside, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's one of those things that you see in a lot of these companies that become successful, that they start turning a blind eye to just basic, decent behaviour among, in the workplace, in favour of profit margins.
And that's not it for Ubisoft, because a report detailing toxic culture, sexual harassment and racial pay disparity has been unearthed on Ubisoft Singapore. The quote from one of the people publishing the report describes the Singapore studio as one of the worst Ubisoft studios in terms of culture, which, given all the things that are coming out, this is including stuff like sexual harassment, bullying by managers, racial pay disparities, and much of the toxicity occurring under the leadership of Huge Rico. Yeah.
Huge Rico. That was him. That was the guy. That was the guy's name. The one who got fired, or the one who was called out and got fired.
Yeah, this happened last year or the year before, didn't it? How a lot of things were outed from Ubisoft and nothing really happened.
This is one of those things where, Gamer Sutra, I remember, published a report last year, back in I think August last year, and that I think his name's pronounced Uguez or something like that. But he was called out for basically harassing multiple people, and that was like the first major kind of wave of all sorts of allegations being thrown at Ubisoft. And I think the report that you're talking to, I think it's that recent Kotaku thing that came out. And that is just basically the fact that that's come out on the back of this French organization taking Ubisoft as a company to court. It's a French union. It's an employment union, I think. You know, like the trade unions we have in the UK.
Had in the UK before a certain government killed them all.
Well, we still have some, but in France they still wield a lot of political power and a lot of legal power. And this is the thing that I think people need to understand. A trade union taking a video game publisher and developer to court affects the entirety of that company, right? This is a major, major thing, and it's, you know, we do know that there's other things that are going to shake the video game world, and we'll come to those. But this here in Europe is a big deal because Ubisoft is a major publisher, and what they're basically saying is we will no longer tolerate your behaviour. Your behaviour is not correct, and if you keep doing this, then you will face prosecution and possibly even prison.
Good, because honestly, the things that the video game industry has been getting away with for seemingly forever now, inexcusable.
I mean, that Kotaku report was specifically for, I think, was it the Singapore office?
Yeah.
And the thing is, the Kotaku report, if I remember rightly, described the Singapore office as one of the worst Ubisoft offices in terms of that culture.
Oh, anyhow, we're not going to get too much into that because we have lots of other news to get into. Jumping onto something which makes me uneasy for a different reason is the Chinese gaming giant Tencent has announced its intention to fully acquire British studio Sumo Digital in a $1.27 billion deal. Studio known for like Sackboy Crackdown 3 and Sonic All-Star Racing Transformed. Sumo as well isn't just one thing, it's a collective of smaller developers.
Yeah.
Quite a large workforce.
Yeah,
The reason why I said this worries me is because Tencent are amassing power and it worries me.
Well, yeah, I mean, the problem we got there is you got the birth of another mega publisher. You know, another mega publisher to join the ranks of EA and Activision Blizzard and Ubisoft and the rest of them, where they have so many corporate heads. They're like this massive, I don't know, you know, business hydra type thing, where, you know, you have one evil head and another evil head, and they're all spitting poison at just the employees around. Well,
I'm not going to say that sort of thing about Tencent because they've kind of been kind of ambivalent and not really kowtowing to AAA culture that these companies are revealing in recent years and months.
Give it time. I would say
no, I'm not saying
time.
not going to. I'm just saying, as it is, it's unfair to say that's what they are because they've not really done anything. They've been kind of standoffish and just amassing power, which is why it makes me uneasy because, you know...
When you say amassing power, it's like, you know, when Goku's doing his thing in Dragon Ball, he's like, Kame.
No, you know, this is what Tencent are doing if we're going to use Dragon Ball reference. Is you getting the spirit bomb, he's getting everybody.
Oh god, yeah, he's just standing there with his arms above his head and everyone's going, what's he doing? Can you imagine?
What are Tencent going to do with their spirit bomb once they've amassed all of that power? That's what worries me. While we're on China, though, we have another news story. Research finds popular games skirt Chinese loot box disclosure laws. A new academic paper details ways publishers hide required consumer protection information, likens behaviour to that seen in alcohol, gambling and tobacco industries. Gambling, tobacco and alcohol industries, which are having like banned advertising and not allowed to do certain things or sponsor certain sports teams. You know, loot boxes have been compared to that sort of industry, those sorts of industries. That's not good.
It's not good, but it's surprise mechanics, Rob.
No.
I mean, I saw a little bit about this story. I think it was this morning. It's China's got really, really strict policies when it comes to loot boxes, and they require game developers to tell them about loot box odds and stuff like that. You know, the odds of winning this or that, or the other. I mean, the research is specifically focused on mobile games, but it kind of extrapolates into actual console-based games, especially as PC and console-based games are becoming bigger in China. And what they've found is that publishers and developers are getting very, very canny at hiding the odds that loot boxes actually, you know, that you actually get successful at loot boxes. And when you basically start stacking the deck like that, and I use the term specifically because it is a term used in gambling, when you start stacking the deck against the consumer like that, then you're basically, you know, there's no way for them to know if they're going to definitely win after a certain number of players.
Well, just to use another term which is used a lot in gambling and establishment that use gambling, it's the house always wins.
Yeah, the house always wins, and that's literally how they're playing this for the developer or the publisher to always win, right? So the consumer would never actually win, and that is a big no-no in China because, well, you know, communism.
And gambling is a big problem in China. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that me saying communism is kind of a catch-all term, but if you look at the way communism is supposed to work, you know, and the Chinese government likes to play how communism is for the people, and, you know, the ruling party is the People's Party, they have to try and protect the interests of the people.
Moving on from that, in a pretty neat segue, is a odd story. A PS4 crypto farm has reportedly used bots to grind for in-game currency, and this was a big warehouse in Ukraine, which I think it found 3,400 PlayStation 4s grinding FIFA to create accounts to sell, like Ultimate Team points to sell.
This is the thing. When this story originally broke, I think it was last week, everyone thought these PlayStation 4s were being used to mine cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, but it's not. It's been used to farm Ultimate Team and FIFA coins.
If that isn't the most damning indictment of how EA operate FIFA Ultimate Team, I don't know what could possibly be.
I mean, this is the thing. Quite literally, when they found this, everyone's like, oh, it's a Bitcoin operation. It's a Bitcoin operation. They're mining cryptocurrency. That's all you'd use this for. And now they've discovered it's actually Ultimate Team and FIFA coins, and you're just like, wow.
This is a horrible statement on EA's operating practices.
I mean, the fact that they're able to do this in the first place, it tells you just how easy it is to basically farm, for a start, to basically create bots and farm, and which means, see, this plays into what that report in China has come out with. You know, this is how easy it is for the house to win. When you set the mechanics up so that only a machine, only an array of machines, 3,400 in this case, only an array of machines can basically win at these loot boxes. How is one person supposed to win? Yeah. How much money are they supposed to spend?
Which is why I don't engage with that mode at all.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. Do you know, last night I was at my cousin's and my nephew says to me, we were talking about video games. He says, I play Call of Duty. I said, I'm not a big first-person shooter fan. And we got onto FIFA. He goes, oh, do you play Ultimate Team? I said, do I look stupid?
What did he say to that?
He's like, oh, do you not like Ultimate Team? I said, no, I refuse to give EA any more money than actually buying the game.
Yeah. Moving on from that in a rather neat segue, Konami, they were the big competition to FIFA once upon a time, but let's be honest, FIFA smushed Konami. Smushed them good. Absolutely yes, smashed them and smushed them. So much so that Konami have given up PES. PES, the brand, no longer exists. In its place is going to be the free-to-play eFootball 2020. This is bad, honestly, because it's launching with 9 teams and it's going to add stuff over the period. Yeah. I'm not going to say the game is going to change because the game still plays very well. It's much more patient and authentic experience of football. But in pushing it to the esports community, in pushing it to the online competitive community, they're basically throwing away the people who have been playing Master League since the original Xbox and PlayStation 2, like, they don't matter. Like, their money isn't worth it. Like, the only money they're chasing is the Ultimate Team crowd, basically.
There's that. I prefer to look at this in a slightly more positive light, because I wasn't really a big Master League player.
There isn't a positive light for this, Rob. This is pretty bad.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. When I say a positive light, what I'm hoping is that because it's free to play is what I'm focusing on more than anything else. The fact that it's free to play will hopefully get more people playing this version of... And the thing is, like it, I know they're not calling it PES, but it is PES still. Okay, it's got a lot of the organs that made it PES.
It's Pro Evolution Soccer if you don't know, and Winning 11 if you're in Japan.
Yeah, I know it's got like several of the organs removed, but it's still PES, and it kind of goes back to what we said before about FIFA. FIFA should become a subscription-based thing.
Yeah, but this isn't the same.
It's not the same as that, but I'm hoping that it signifies a sea change in how these sports game publishers think.
I think they actually cracked the nut in the previous thing where they released Pro Evolution Soccer 2020, and then this 2021 was just a season pack update. That is the better way to do it. It's kind of just tapping out. Yeah. Really, as far as I say it. Tapping out of trying to be competitive, of trying to find a hole in the market and just...
yeah, I mean, they are trying to find a hole in the market. And
no, they did, and then they just give up, and then they just go for the easy win, as far as a lot of investors are concerned.
Yeah, a
lot of investors are looking at the free-to-play model as Fortnite, and Fortnite makes all the money in the world, and football is the most popular sport in the world, so join together.
And I will admit, this is most definitely an investor's move. What I'm hoping is that the things that made PES will make a return in the free-to-play model. I'm hoping that's the case, you know?
Okay. Moving on to a bit more positive news.
Yes.
Weirdly, we had the EA Play 2021 just running through a few of their announcements. We had Lost in Random, which is from Swedish studio Zoink. Looks interesting. They made Stick It to the Man. I loved a great deal. There's also Knockout City, which is another free-to-play, massively multiplayer, battle royale, noise. I don't care. Just noise.
Yeah, I don't understand these games where you have like a bunch of people just fighting each other. I'm like, oh, okay.
Speaking of that, Apex Legend has a new character.
Oh, goody. I'm so happy, Rob. Can you not see the excitement on my face? It's Apex Legends. I'm going to play that game so hard.
Battlefield 2042 lets you mash together like people from Battlefield 1942 and Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3 and force them against each other in combat. Yay! I don't care, because basically Battlefield has got rid of the single player, and for a lot of people that's huge.
Yeah, why would you get rid of the single player from Battlefield? It was the best. It was the best thing in Battlefield.
It's going back to that idea of Konami and free to play for me, and honestly, multiplayer shooters which become multiplayer only, I don't care. It's Call
of Duty Mobile, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what they're going for.
Yeah, but the big two was one, Codemasters. They're a part of the EA family.
Now they are, yeah.
They released their Grid Legends, the latest in the Grid series, which seems to be very story-driven.
It's a weird thing, because I'm a big fan of the Grid franchise. I think it's one of the more interesting racing franchises to appear in the modern era. And I like the whole idea of Grid. I think Grid caters to those people who want to play an arcade racer in a competitive way, especially if they've got couch co-op going on. And it also appeals to the real hardcore racing fans, the technical racing fans, because there is enough customization, there is enough technicality or technique in the racing itself. But what I like about Grid is that they're looking for the ultimate driver, so it's not just an F1 car round a track multiple times, you have a limited number of laps, and the cars change from one race to another. So you will have drift cars in some, you'll have open wheel racing cars in others, you'll have touring cars in others.
In this one, it's basically an open weight class as well, so you can have all these things on the road together.
Yeah. And do you know what that reminds me of when they do like an open weight class? It reminds me of, remember MotorStorm?
Yes, I do. And they should bring that back because it was a great game.
Yeah, and I loved MotorStorm. And what I like about this new version of Grid, not only do they have like live action drama in there as a story mode, they've actually got actors to play the roles. And I thought, okay, yeah, that's cool. But they've also got this open weight class. Now, you imagine going flat out on like a drift track against, I don't know, a big rig. Having a big rig. Yeah, having a big rig drifting round a corner. That is something in my head. I'm going, I want this. A big rig drifting around the corner. I want to do this.
Okay. So the last announcement that they did one more thing was the confirmation that Dead Space is being remade by EA Motive. This is me. I'm happy. I'm really happy. I could talk this about an hour, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to do a few little bullet points. One, it's a full-on, from the ground up remake, a la Resident Evil. Capcom did. They've been very honouring the legacy of Dead Space. Talking with the fans, a certain set of the fans, so they don't do anything which isn't true to what Dead Space is. It's just they're really doing it the right way, and it's going to be a next gen exclusive and PC exclusive. So they're trying to make this as good as humanly possible. And I saw an article or a podcast that says, "Is it too soon for a Dead Space remake?" It says,
no, it's not.
It's us Dead Space fans have been waiting for a long time for more Dead Space, and this is just ideal.
Yeah, I mean,
the EA are respecting the legacy and that they're doing it right. I couldn't be happier. Is
it too soon for a Dead Space remake? I mean, there were games that came out on like the PlayStation 3, late stage PlayStation 3, that have been remade for the PlayStation 4. I mean, Demon's Souls. Why not say, is it too early for a Demon's Souls remake? Most people didn't think it was too early for that, so...
2 generations removed, of course, it's not too early.
Exactly.
And also, this is just... It's one of those things, isn't it? You wait for ages. Where's Dead Space? Then the original maker, Glenn Schofield, says, well, I made my own studio and I'm making my Dead Space spiritual successor, Callisto Protocol. It's like, cool! Dead Space. And then EA says, oh, by the way, we're doing Dead Space 2. It's like, oh, it's like 2 buses have come at once. This is the best. Best time to be a Dead Space fan.
The good thing is, they're not like buses. It's not that you could only get on one bus. You can buy both games, Rob.
Yeah, and I will. And I don't like pre-orders, but I will inevitably be getting the version of this that comes with either a figurine or a mask, because I bloody love Dead Space.
You're getting the... I will put my foot down and say, you're getting the one with the figurine, because if you get the one with the mask, you would never take it off.
It probably won't fit anyway. But I'm getting the expensive pre-order for this because genuinely it's top 5, maybe even top 2. This I don't know what actually I don't know what better it, but let's not say things in the heat of the moment.
This is how much of a fan Rob is of Dead Space. If there was a collector's edition released with the mask, he would wear that mask to the shops. He would wear that mask on the bus.
Well, they do say in the news it's the best to wear the mask, so don't say what mask.
Exactly.
Right, moving on. Ubisoft. They're also in the news like a year all the time, and usually it's not good, and this isn't good either. Adding to the stuff earlier. Tom Clancy was a military writer who was all about sort of authenticity. He wasn't the most progressive of people, but the authentic military movements and military strategy, that sort of underpinned a lot of his stuff. It was based in the real world. However, his new one, Tom Clancy's Xdefiance, XD for short, has got a bit of a backlash from fans. Because, it's been described as fast-paced firefights meets punk rock mock pits. That, on its own, is great, but it's not Tom Clancy, is it?
No, and I think this is where a lot of people have, well, I wouldn't say spat their dummies out, I'd say they've got they've got good reason to be concerned with the direction they're taking the Tom Clancy name, because this Xdefiant game is supposed to be a Ubisoft original game. It doesn't have any narrative ties to The Division, to Rainbow Six, to Ghost Recon, or to Splinter Cell, or any other Tom Clancy franchise.
It's the same as that, it's the same as that one with the is it Contagion or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they call it, but the one with the aliens.
Yeah, it doesn't even have a story mode. It's, I think, was it 5v5 or 6v6, something like that?
Yeah, but moving on. This is going to be a longer episode because we have tons of news, honestly. Yeah. It's been a very, very busy news week.
Yeah.
Damn it. But yeah, going back to EA, American McGee wants to make another Alice game with EA.
Yeah.
I never played these games, actually. But
I quite like, I will be honest, I played the original Alice game and I really liked it. I really liked the hot, dark fantasy horror twisted take on Alice in Wonderland. And then they did Alice Madness Returns, and I thought, as an action platform game, it's a solid game. Okay, it's not groundbreaking in any way, but it is definitely a solid game. It's got some great character designs, it's got some great environment designs. There's a lot to like about it, but it's not groundbreaking in any way. Solid game. What I'm hoping for is if American McGee is allowed to make another game. I mean, American McGee made another game called Scrapland, which loads of people don't know about, you know? Even some of the fans of American McGee's stuff don't know he made a game called Scrapland. And I think it was out on the PC and the Xbox, the original Xbox.
More stuff from these established sort of auteurs in video games.
Yeah. He is one of the people who I would class as an auteur in video games, and I would like to see more stuff from him, not just so focused on Alice in Wonderland, maybe.
Keeping with EA, Respawn, who are known for making Titanfall and Apex Legends, are making a new single-player game, adventure game, set in a unique universe. It's staffing up for a project that's in its early stages. So, that's good.
Yeah.
They've grown to the extent to have 2 games on the bounce.
Yeah, it's nice to see Respawn getting their act together.
3 games on the bounce.
Oh, is it?
Apparently, the early rumours of them doing a sequel to Fallen Order, but they're not in a place to announce anything yet, or announce its existence, as well as Apex Legends and this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really count Apex Legends as a game per se, because it's a live service, isn't it? And all they really have to do is maintain it and maybe add a new character, because that's so exciting.
It was a great trailer, and then it said Apex Legends, and I thought, oh no, not interested. So Respawn were great.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2 is one of the best first-person shooters of the PS4, Xbox One generation.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're doing more single-player stuff. I'm happy about that, because their single-player stuff has been pretty cool.
Right, moving back to the horrible stuff. Activision Blizzard, the other horrible, massive AAA publisher, skimming this one because it's borderline evil.
Yeah, this one is...
Yes, a lawsuit has been filed against Activision Blizzard for harassment and discrimination against women. Just going over the vague sense, it says... The lawsuit is the result of a 2-year investigation in the studio by the state agency and reports Activision Blizzard alleged frat boy culture, a breeding ground for harassment and discrimination against women. The lawsuit describes an atmosphere where women have to continually fend off unwanted sexual comments and advances by their male co-workers and are being groped at what the document describes as cube crawls. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I just want to clarify which state agency Rob's talking about. The state agency he's talking about is the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing, which means the state of California is the one filing the lawsuit. And
yeah,
what he's talked about is the tip of the iceberg.
It's kind of horrible. There's an article going into it on Bloomberg and GamesIndustry.biz. Read it at your own leisure. It's just really, really horrible.
Yeah, it is awful. Some of the things that that women in particular have been subjected to at Activision Blizzard, and there are aspects of this that have kind of trickled down into how certain games that they run have been run, and this is one of those situations where what's going on at the top and at the upper levels has filtered down so much that I honestly do not see how Activision Blizzard can continue as an entity. That's how bad this is.
Well, there's that argument, isn't it, that certain big companies should be broke up and made to operate on smaller levels. I think Facebook and Google and Amazon are ones which people say a lot of. But you'd think, a statement would come out eventually, and yeah, it has. The head of Blizzard Entertainment has responded. He says, I personally have a lot of emotions coming out about yesterday, which is when the thing come out. And I know you do too, like talking to the people in Activision Blizzard, sort of as a memo across the company.
Yeah.
So the allegations and the hurt of the current and former employees are extremely troubling. While I can't comment on the specifics of the case as it's open investigation, what I can say is the behaviour detailed in the allegation is completely unacceptable. He goes on to say, people with different backgrounds, views and experiences are essential for Blizzard, our teams and our player community. I disdain bro culture and I have spent my entire career fighting against it.
Yeah, see, isn't this very similar to what Ubisoft did last year when that Gamasutra report came out and all the allegations were being launched at that Ugues person? They basically had the CEO send an internal email out to all of the companies saying, we deeply regret this, blah, 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 blah. They made some public statements and then everything kind of got forgotten about.
One statement I have on this.
Yeah.
Company culture trickles down.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say. Company culture doesn't trickle up.
Yeah, it's exactly what I said. That's why I said I don't understand. I cannot see how Activision Blizzard can recover from this as a corporate entity. So yeah, I don't know what that means for the live services that they run.
Right, something a bit more positive. Let's have some positive news, shall we?
I mean, oh my god, it's been a horrible news week, hasn't it?
Yeah. Epic have praised Valve's amazing move making Steam Deck an open platform, which essentially means that Steam have made this thing, but they have basically allowed an open invite for other companies, whether it's Epic Games or Riz or whoever, to basically take the technology and tinker it and make it their own.
Yeah, and do you know what? I love the fact that Valve have basically allowed this. See, everyone keeps talking about this Steam Deck versus the Nintendo or Switch OLED, and I'm like, well, yeah, the two are very different machines. They cater to very different markets, so you kind of putting apples and oranges together and saying, hey, these are vegetables.
But they're all competing for your time, so... They're
all competing for your time. But what I love about this...
So they do compete because they compete for time.
Yeah. What I love about this is that if Microsoft... Remember we were talking months ago about the future of games consoles, and we posited the idea that the next generation games console, the next generation console, was going to be a portable console, kind of like a laptop console hybrid type thing. Yeah. Right? And then Valve have released this, and it's entirely possible because you can play Series X games on the Steam Deck using xCloud if you want, because it's basically a PC. The Steam Deck you can plug in as a laptop, and it's entirely possible that Microsoft will look at this and go, do you know what? Sony failed at making a handheld. Why don't we make one to go along with all of the other stuff that we're doing? It could be a dedicated xCloud streaming machine combined with a console type thing.
I can understand where you're coming from there, but I'm starting to think that Microsoft may be spreading themselves a little bit thin.
Possibly. What the other option I was going to go with was Nintendo could also look at this and go, do you know what? Why don't we just bridge the gap now? When we make our next generation Switch, right? Why don't we just include the technology from this in it and have this hybrid thing that covers all the bases? Hey, we've got 100% of the handheld market again.
Steam Deck, just on the Steam Deck again, its reservations have been moved back a quarter to Q3 2022.
Yeah.
Q2 and Q3 2022 because of the amount of demand for the machine.
Yeah, there was that much demand for the machine. It basically crashed Steam almost.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many people want this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of something which is in demand, RTX 30, 70, 80 and 90 graphics card. Very much in demand.
Don't. The pain is all too real.
And if it wasn't bad enough trying to get one, if you played the Amazon MMO New World, chances are it could brick your new fancy expensive graphics card.
I kind of feel sorry for Amazon when it comes to New World, because the beta of New World is out, and you have to feel sorry for them. They've tried and tried and tried, and Asmongold on one of his streams when he was streaming New World actually made a great comment. Amazon and MMO players, they kind of go together. It's like a natural pairing because they both pee in bottles, which is an awful joke, but quite real, because it is there are MMO players who do that.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I know. Not gonna go there, but I kind of feel sorry for the developers of New World. This has to do with all sorts of Windows API DirectX stuff, but basically it was affecting the 3090, the most expensive of the graphics cards, and bricking some of them.
Yeah, they made a statement, the New World developers.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of people played in the New World closed beta yesterday, with millions of total hours played. We've received a few reports of players using high-end performance graphics cards experiencing hardware failure when playing New World. New World makes standard DirectX calls as provided by the Windows API. We have seen no indication of widespread issues with 3090s, either in the beta or during our many months of alpha testing. The New World closed beta is safe to play. In order to further reassure players, we will implement a patch today that caps frames per second on our menu screen. We're grateful for the support New World is receiving from players around the world, and we'll keep listening to the feedback throughout the beta and beyond.
At least they've patched it, but I'm sure that there's 3090s that are secretly being replaced so that they don't cause waves, because the last thing Amazon want with New World right now is bad press. They've had loads of bad press about New World with the delays and everything like that. So the last thing they want is anything to rock the boat now. There's one player that I know of who is one of the popular streamers for MMOs, got banned for milking a cow. Yeah, I know. The look on your face, got banned for milking a cow. Apparently, allegedly, it's a mistake on the part of New World, and it automatically banned her for milking a cow. So, I don't know what's going on there, but there are issues to be worked out.
There's certainly worse things you can do with a cow.
Exactly. So, anyway, moving on from that.
Yes, Netflix gaming, we've talked about that a few times in the past.
Yes.
And apparently the early stages of their gaming push is going to focus on mobile stuff.
There was the rumour Netflix is going to become the Netflix of games as well, and they've actually come out and said, we're not going to be the Netflix of games, but we are going to do games. And you're like, well, doesn't that make you the Netflix of games? You're already called Netflix and you're going to do games.
I don't think anything can become the Netflix of games, because it has to be tied to a format. And it's not really a like-for-like comparison.
Yeah,
I don't think Games Pass will become the Netflix of games either.
Yeah, I mean,
it'll be the Netflix of Xbox, but not all of games.
I think Game Pass is going to be more like Amazon Prime because of the way that they're gearing it up, especially with that stick that they're working on. But Netflix, I mean, the rumors turned out to be true, and they've been hiring people to take on this video games role that they've decided to immerse themselves in. And I think that they're actually doing it the right way, rather than going in kind of and jumping in all the way up to the knees or the hips or whatever and saying, yeah, we're going to do all of this stuff. They're testing the water first with these mobile type games. Yeah,
and they're not just sticking the hand in there, getting elbow deep,
Yeah, up to the knuckle. Yeah, they're not doing that.
Well, elbow, but sure.
And I think that's the best way for them to go about it, is test it with these smaller, much easier to manage games, and then build on that.
Yeah. Moving on to unlikely places to get games from. Zoom, a video conferencing app, which basically became global success because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
really making hay while the sun shines. Which I think might be jumping the gun a little bit, but let's get to the point of the story. They have recently rolled out its Zoom app marketplace, offering more than 50 third-party programs that work with the online video meeting service.
Yeah,
part of which is in the future is going to be games.
See, this kind of
it's more on this. As of writing, Zoom's marketplace contains 56 apps, nine of which are games. Those titles include social party games like Playco's Heads Up, based on the charades game featured on Ellis DeGeneres' TV show. Ooh.
Ellen DeGeneres, you mean, not Ellis DeGeneres.
Ellis, it's a brother. Quick Save Interactive's Werewolf with Friends and Doppio games Just Say the Word, as well as card games like Flow Play's LGN Poker.
Okay, right. Those sound like really crappy social games that you used to get with, with the basic, those basic party pack games that you had with like the PlayStation 2.
When you get a new DVD and you have like a collection of 50 DVDs, and on each of the DVDs it had about 12 movies.
Yeah,
and they were all more crap than the next one.
It's exactly that. But the thing is, the fact that Zoom is having their own app marketplace and they're going to have games on there, I'm like, who uses Zoom that much during the course of a day? Who spends all of their time on Zoom?
I think Zoom were a perfect case scenario. I think they became very, very successful off the back of the pandemic, but their success is not going to be a long-term one, and they're doing things like this to ensure it as long-term as humanly possible, but I don't think they can compete with the key people who they're trying to compete with the Microsofts, with the Disgaeas, with the this and the that. I think that once things settle, their success, their company trajectory will calm right the hell down.
I think the main reason that Zoom became as popular as it did is because it was an all-in-one solution that everybody could use straight off the bat. They didn't have to have any. They didn't have to be part of the same company. They didn't have to be in the same social groups. It wasn't as complicated to get up and running as Discord. That was a Microsoft Teams thing. They didn't have to jump through all sorts of hoops, and Google's whatever it was didn't have to do all sorts of palaver with that. It was literally just, here's the link, join the meeting. That's it.
40 minutes, you got to pay for more.
They got rid of that during the pandemic, didn't they?
No.
They put it up to like an hour.
It's still, when you're doing day-long meetings, it's nothing really.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be sitting in a day-long Zoom meeting. That's
why people are sick of them.
Yeah, I would hate that.
Anyway, something back to game specific for the last penultimate story. Of all the things to sell so many, this is kind of a miraculous success story for something so incredibly niche. Nippon Ichi have announced that Disgaea series shipments and digital sales top 5 million units.
Disgaea as a franchise has sold 5 million units.
Yeah.
That's an impressive milestone to reach. Okay, it's not to the same level as, say, Grand Theft Auto 5, making $1 billion or whatever.
Yeah, let's be honest, this is a small, self-effacing, isometric strategy RPG which sends up the tropes of the anime style.
Yeah.
This is not mainstream breakthrough.
Exactly. And that's literally what I was going to say. They're like two extremes of video games. You got this, which is really, really niche and only appeals to a small crowd, and then you've got GTA 5, which is like so mainstream it hurts.
Yeah, I mean, if every time the Brave they sell 5 million copies,
exactly.
But this is fantastic for Nippon Ichi.
Yeah, I mean, that's like. I mean, I'm hoping that at some point in the future I'll see a headline where the latest Italia game has sold like a few million copies. That would make me happy. I'm a big Italia fan.
I'm glad that Disgaea found its home away from home on the Nintendo Switch, because it's kind of ready-made for that platform. It really is.
God, yeah. I mean, Disgaea found a kind of home on the PlayStation Portable when they did the PlayStation Portable version.
I played it on the PlayStation mainline, but it as a hard console in front of the TV, I don't think it jams quite well.
Yeah, it does. On the PSP, it was great. And I don't think they actually released a version for the PS Vita, which I always thought was a shame because it would have been great for that console.
Yeah, but good on Nippon Ichi. Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Last news story. We got there eventually.
Yes.
Google, if you go to Google now and you click on the thing that says Google,
Yeah.
like the usually has art or something, or something celebrating, whatever, it's got a RPG. Olympics-inspired RPG, and it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, pandering as bloody hell, but it's pretty good.
Was that a joke because they're all animals and the anthropomorphic animals? Was that an actual joke you did there?
Yes.
Pandering.
It's called the Doodle Champion Island Games.
Yeah.
It's 16 mini-game style things within like a RPG dressing.
Yeah, it's really simple controls. I've been playing it. I was playing it last night. It's really simple controls. You just use the direction buttons and the space bar. And literally, it's just, you go around different sections of the island and take part in these mini-games. And it's so much better than you actually think it is because it's so simple. And you go around talking to different animals and stuff like that. It's really straightforward.
I'll be honest, I'd rather have this than the sort of trotted out every 4 years, very boring, matter-of-fact sort of sims of sports games.
I was actually about to say, the weird thing is, this is more enjoyable than those. Because
they're just button mashers, and that's all they are.
Yeah, this is so simple and straightforward, and you play this, and then you go, I don't see what all the fuss is about with all these other far more complicated sports games for the Olympics. Just do something like this. It's simple. It's effective. It's the anthropomorphic animals are delightful. Just do something like this. It's so easy.
Yes, and on that, it's been a horrible week for news, but we have to draw a line under it. It's nice that we ended it with something a little bit more pleasant. But if you like what we do, you can support us. We have a Patreon. We're in a bit of a transition period, so we'll be launching some new stuff, or we're planning to launch some new stuff in the near future. But for now, please do subscribe to our Patreon and support us. There's some Patreons on the screen right now. But until the next episode and a couple of exciting upcoming impossible missions, pop back next week for more news and some more trash.
Bye!